They looked like the picture of peace. A big, smiling family singing together, living on acres of open land, free from the noise of the world. To millions of viewers, the Plaths were the symbol of purity and faith, the kind of family people dreamed still existed somewhere. But the truth behind those golden fields was far more complicated. What looked like simplicity was actually control. What seemed like love sometimes felt more like fear. Hi friends, I'm Sarah, and welcome back to Sister Wives Daily. If you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments, because I really want to hear how you see this story. For years, Welcome to Plathville showed us an image of perfection, Kim and Barry Plath guiding their children with firm beliefs and a strict way of life. But under that perfect surface, something was breaking. The show didn't just reveal a family, it exposed a system built on isolation, obedience, and control. As the seasons went on, each child began to see cracks in the world they'd been told was pure. Freedom came slowly, painfully, and publicly. And when truth started to surface, the family's carefully built image began to crumble in front of everyone watching. This isn't the end for the Plaths. It's the reckoning, the moment when the truth can't be hidden anymore. From the outside, the Plaths looked like the definition of harmony. Kim and Barry raised their 9 children on a sprawling Georgia farm with no TV, no internet, and barely any connection to the modern world. They said it was about protecting innocence, keeping the family close, and staying true to their faith. But anyone who's watched Welcome to Plathville knows there was more to it than that. What felt like protection soon started to look like isolation. The kids were homeschooled, their days built around chores, music practice, and Bible study. They didn't hang out with kids their age or watch popular shows. Even something as normal as drinking a soda or listening to pop music felt like rebellion. And when someone questioned the rules, it wasn't just disobedience, it was treated like betrayal. Kim often spoke with conviction, as if every decision came from love and spiritual duty. Barry backed her up, calm but firm, standing as the quiet enforcer of their family's rules. Together, they created an image of unity that viewers couldn't look away from. But behind that image, their children's worlds were shrinking. Ethan, Mariah, Micah, and the younger ones grew up believing the outside world was dangerous, a place filled with temptation and confusion. And yet, the more they grew, the more they began to wonder, was this really faith or just control wrapped in religion? That question would soon change everything. And once the door opened, there was no closing it again. Inside the Plath family, everything seemed to flow through Kim and Barry. They didn't just lead the home, they managed it. Every rule, every activity, even the way their children thought about the outside world came from them. On Welcome to Plathville, we saw how Kim took charge of nearly every decision. From homeschooling lessons to music performances, she was the planner, the voice, the gatekeeper. Barry, quiet but unyielding, stood behind her like a firm wall, reminding everyone that rules were rules, and that obedience meant love. For years, the Plath kids performed as a family band, traveling, singing, and sharing their beliefs. It looked wholesome, even charming. But the more we saw, the clearer it became that this wasn't just family bonding, it was a system. The older kids carried the weight of the younger ones, rehearsing, smiling, presenting a polished image to the world. The performances brought attention, and attention brought opportunities. But none of that attention gave the kids freedom. In one episode, Kim spoke about her vision for the family's values, how everything they did needed to reflect purity and faith. But in practice, it meant that every choice, even small ones, had to be approved. What they wore, who they talked to, where they went. All of it was filtered through parental control. Homeschooling, which could have been a tool for creativity, became another layer of containment. Without outside friends, new ideas, or independence, the kids only knew one version of reality, the one built for them. From the outside, it looked like love. Inside, it functioned like a business, structured, efficient, and centered around two people who decided what was best. Kim managed the narrative, Barry enforced it, and the children learned to survive within it. But control always comes with a cost, and for the Plaths, that cost was slowly coming due. The cracks started small, a question here, a moment of defiance there. But once those cracks appeared, nothing could hold them back. Ethan was the first to really push against the system. After marrying Olivia, his world opened up. Suddenly, he was seeing life beyond the farm, tasting freedom, making his own choices, and realizing how much he'd been kept from. But that freedom came with a price. The more Ethan changed, the more Kim and Barry pulled away. The show captured those heartbreaking moments when parents and children sat across from each other, unable to understand or forgive. Mariah's journey was different but just as powerful. She wanted self-expression, music, fashion, art, individuality. What her parents called rebellion was really self-discovery. Micah followed soon after, stepping into modeling and independence. Each one of them, in their own way, began to untangle themselves from the control that once defined them. Viewers watched as the family's unity unraveled. Conversations that used to end with prayers now ended in silence or tears. Kim, once the emotional center, began to lose her hold. Barry tried to hold the pieces together, but even he couldn't deny the change. For years, the Plaths told the world they were different, chosen, set apart, stronger because of their faith. But faith, real faith, survives questions. It welcomes growth, and as the children began to live their own truths, the family's once perfect image started to fade into something far more real. This was no longer the story of a perfect Christian family. It was the story of individuals trying to reclaim their lives from a system that told them who to be. And for the first time, the audience wasn't watching perfection. They were watching transformation. In the end, the system that once looked unshakable finally came apart, not in one explosive moment, but in quiet heartbreaks spread across seasons. What began as a family built on order and faith dissolved into silence, distance, and pain. Kim and Barry, once united in their mission to raise a pure family, grew apart under the weight of their own choices. Viewers saw it happen in real time. The tension, the distance, the separate lives. When they finally announced their separation and later their divorce, it felt like the foundation of the Plath family had split in two. Kim tried to rebuild a new version of herself, a woman discovering independence after years of control. Barry, soft-spoken but deeply wounded, seemed lost, holding on to what little connection remained. The children scattered like seeds finally freed from the soil. Ethan and Olivia moved away to start over, learning what marriage and freedom really meant outside the shadow of the past. Mariah kept searching for her voice, expressing the pain she couldn't say out loud through her songs. Micah found confidence in modeling and travel, showing the world, and himself, that he could stand on his own. The family that once moved as one now lives in fragments, learning, healing, and redefining what love means without control. For viewers, the reckoning was sobering. Welcome to Plathville was never just about a family. It was about what happens when truth finally breaks through the walls built to contain it. The image shattered, but in its place, something more human and more honest began to grow. When you look back at Welcome to Plathville, it was never just a story about fame or a TV family. It was a story about control, love, and the long road to freedom. Behind the golden fields and polite smiles was a reminder of how easily families can mistake obedience for harmony and image for truth. The Plaths showed the world what happens when a home becomes a system, and what it costs to finally break free from it. Maybe that's the real legacy here. Not perfection, but the courage to start over. I'm Sarah, and this is Sister Wives Daily. Tell me in the comments, what do you think the true lesson of the Plath family's story really is? Don't forget to subscribe for more stories that reveal the truth behind the shows we thought we knew.